he whispered an incantation and drew the fire from his calabash. It wrapped around his hands, the energy coursing through his body. The calabash floated in mid-air as the flames became one with his palm. "I will give you a taste of my power," the witch doctor said, filled with rage, and with that, he channeled a lethal blast at the Spirit King. Let me tell you, child, of a tale only whispered in secret, of the woes of humans and spirits alike. Do not be afraid, because the shadows smell your fear. The story begins in the kingdom of Anuri. Deep in its quiet forest, the peace is disturbed. Cheerful giggles could be heard echoing through the forest. A little spirit ran playfully through the trees. She was an Omashi, a spirit being. The realm of the spirits were not perceivable by mortal men, and so she could neither be seen nor heard by mortals. She got on her knees and picked up a shiny blue pearl. She was fascinated by the pearl. As she admired it, something caught her attention. Another pearl, but unlike the first, this was beyond the gates of the spirit realm. This pearl lay in the realm of the mortals. She would have to cross into the mortal realm to get the pearl. She stared at the gates, contemplating. The gates acted as a barrier, separating the realm of the spirits from the realm of men. She knew it was forbidden and dangerous, but she was already captivated by the blue pearl to be reasonable. The thirst for adventure which inspired children stirred in her, and in a heartbeat, she leapt through the gates. In the mortal realm, she was unable to take her true form, and thus she took the form of a deer. In this form, she was disguised from mortal eyes. She wanted to quickly get the pearl and return, but then she noticed more of the pearls littered on the forest path. Excited, she threw caution to the wind and strayed far into the mortal realm. The rustle in the nearby bushes startled her. She sensed danger. Without a warning, she quickly dashed through the trees, trying to get to safety. She could hear the footsteps of her assailants closing in on her. She pressed on, scared, confused, trying to find a way back to the gates. An arrow flew through the trees and pierced her sides. She shrieked, wailing for help. The pain brought her to her knees. She lay helpless on her side, gasping for breath. A female with a bow, beautiful and majestic, entered the clearing. She was a young queen. Her hunt maidens walked behind her. She walked up to the dying deer. The queen had just been married. It was customary that the bride hunted down a game for her husband to eat. The young queen felt pity for the wounded deer as she watched it quiver. Looking into its eyes, there was something about the deer she couldn't quite understand. She felt empathy for the creature, but she had to abide by the traditions and customs of the kingdom. She took the deer in her arms, unsheathed her blade, and put an end to its suffering. Suddenly, there was a little tremor and a fierce roar from the deep shadows of the forest. The birds in the trees were startled and flew off. In the distance, a dark evil seemed to have awakened. She could see it far off in the distance. Its icy gaze fixed on her. It floated towards her, engulfing the forest as it approached. She tried to scream, but no words came out. And in a flash, it was over. Darkness. Oblivion. She awakened to a loud cheer. The kingdom was ripe with excitement as people danced and celebrated in the palace. She had drifted off again. She was very tired, Perhaps that was the reason she kept having flashbacks of the hunt earlier. All her hunt maidens claim not to have seen Dark Shadow during the hunt earlier. They all said she had suddenly lost consciousness. It was driving her crazy. She couldn't get the ghoulish roar from her head. It was the final day of the wedding festivities. The celebration erupted all over the kingdom. At every corner, people cheered for the new couple. Her husband, the king, had spared no expense. He was a charming and handsome man. Of all the suitors who came for her hand in marriage, theirs was love at first sight. The king sat beside her enjoying the festivities. "You look petrified," the king said. She quickly gathered herself and forced a smile. Perhaps she was exhausted from the festive activities. The king asked her for a dance as he offered her his hand. She took it and they danced. She soon forgot her worries. The celebrations went on. The kingdom was enveloped in joy as they continued the week-long merriment. While the celebrations went on, deep in the forest, something dark peered from the shadows. The deer which had been hunted earlier was no ordinary deer. It was an Omashi, a shadow spirit, a child of the dreaded Spirit King, a powerful entity whose wrath she had unknowingly awakened. And nothing could save her or those she loved from its wrath. In the blistering dark of night, while the king and the queen slept peacefully, a faint breeze stirred the room. A twirl of feathers gushed through the window, and in an instant turned into an ethereal figure standing menacingly in the corner of the room. It was the Omashi, the Spirit King, a tall and majestic entity. He moved towards the bed, holding an enchanted black feather in his hand. He reached the sleeping queen and gently placed the feather on her forehead while reciting an incantation. "You took my child from me. You have killed the light of my life. Now you will know the pain of losing your own child, over and over again, until you beg for death. And when you do, only then will I exact my wrath on you and all you love." He stepped back and looked at the sleeping queen with a cold and vengeful glare. He had cursed her with an Abiku, a malicious spirit which tormented its victim with an endless cycle of childbirth, illness, and eventual death. The feather faded away, engulfing the queen in a fiery greenish glow, imbibing the curse within her, and in an instant, it was gone. The Spirit King had disappeared, and once again, the room was still. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. Continue the adventure with us in the next video. Don't forget to give us a like, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single bit of our epic adventure.